Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. This is a special episode, and I mean that seriously. This time, this is episode 100. You heard that right. We reached the triple digits, people. Episode 100, we're featured with a very special guest. His name is Jerry Train Scruggs. And I don't know if y'all knew before in previous episodes, but this is actually my dad. And so we're going to have about a 2 hour conversation today. I'm really excited to talk to dad about a lot of important events that happened in his life and to continue to happen in his life. And just, we want to kind of pick his brain because that's really the first person that kind of introduced me to the world of politics in this complex world that we live in. And I give him a lot of credit and attribute a lot of my thoughts as far as the free thinking person that I became later on in life to this person who's my dad. And I just want to say, welcome to the show, Dad. And I'm going to give you another introduction, but I just want to say welcome to the show and thanks for coming on to Kiko's Freethinkers Forum.
Thank you very much. And hello, YouTube.
Well, anyway, Mr. Jerry Scruggs, he goes by Soul Train. That's his nickname because he's been a DJ since the late 60s, and I'll let him, give his own introduction. But Dad has a background. He was a mechanic at Chicago's printing string is CPS, which is a subsidiary of American Greeting. That job outsourced eventually, but that's kind of how he launched his career in Franklin, Tennessee. That's where he's originally from. He's going to talk about that in a second. And then later on, he worked as a custodian in the school system, Franklin Special School District in Franklin, Tennessee, at Johnson Elementary School for 14 years. And so between those two jobs, that's 32 years of work. And we're going to hear more about Dad's just the way he grew up and stuff. And I know my audience is really excited to hear about, they've heard a lot about my dad because I've anticipated this episode so much. And again, I just can't believe we reached 100 episodes. But this wouldn't be possible without all the support we've gotten from international and domestic viewers. And we're going to continue to get that support. Just consider subscribing to us for free on Kiko's Freethinkers Forum YouTube channel, our official YouTube channel, Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a little bit of time to expand your mind. And remember, you can't unthink free thought. Support independent media as much as you can. This is not costing you anything to do it. We're going to have a plethora of voices coming on in this next rendition of Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. The next 200 episodes should be just as great as the first 100. And so I just want people to think about independent channels. We need all the help we can get. I'm not asking for any of your money, just a little bit of time to expand your mind and consider subscribing to us for free. I just want to ask my dad after we get the advertisement side of the way. Um, you're new to my audience, so what would be, in your words, you can take as much time as you need. What would be the best way to describe you to my audience as far as how do you grow up? What's your backstory for people to kind of get a small introduction into your life?
Well, I grew up in Franklin, Tennessee, moved into the projects in 1965. It was June of 65. And by June of 69, it's when I first started DJing. June of 1969. That was when it was your little 45 disc and your 12-inch disc. You had to set that needle onto the disc long time ago. Technology sure have come a long way from uh from 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs and now the computer. It's a whole lot more convenient now, but that's with the times. I'm talking about 55 years uh, in between. So that's a lot of progress in 55 years. you got it's just a whole lot more convenient uh through the technology. But I started DJing in the projects, shortcut projects in Franklin, Tennessee. Uh, I got my name from my best friend at the time. His name was Oscar Carter. We called him Pootie.
What was his
Uh,
name?
his name was Oscar Carter.
Oscar Carter.
Uh, he had two nicknames. We called him Cisco, but everybody called him Pootie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me that name just out the blue.
Soul Train.
Yeah, just out the blue.
So a lot of people thought that was probably associated with the music show, but that was before that even came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a habit for
Mm-hmm.
you know. I think Soul Train started off in Chicago or somewhere
Mm-hmm.
before they went to before they went to L.A. Yeah, but about that time, right along in there. But I started in '69, and the music was the music. For then it was great artists, uh, great artists. From Otis Redding to Wilson Pickett to all of Motown. Marvin Gaye and uh,
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, yes, but you had Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, and the Supremes, and all that was Motown. Temptations. It was just the music was legendary groups, legendary groups. Uh, this just just good music, just good music, and it progressed on over to the '70s, which is my favorite. The '70s, I got a I got about a 25-year window. I say I'll say from I'll say from 65 to 90 was the best music that I experienced. Uh Before rap.
Oh gosh, I knew you were gonna say that.
Well, not really before rap, but before rap, you know, expanded, expanded the way that it did. Like we had rap in the '70s. You know, your your very first successful artist really was Sugar Hill Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you had Curtis Blow. I went to the concert to I went to concert to see Curtis Blow. After my
Mm-hmm.
first rap concert, after the first time I had seen somebody performing that didn't have a band with them, that's the first time I've seen somebody playing records on the side where that was new,
Mm-hmm. And when
because
was that? Like 1980 or something?
that was in 1979.
1979, when he came out with the breaks and all that stuff.
78 was the year that we seen him though. 78, 78, and it was uh it was really a R&B concert, but they had Curtis Blow on as as the rap act. It was uh like a Fatback,
Oh, Fatback Band?
Fatback, One Way, uh Curtis Blow, and it was somebody else. I can't think
Mm-hmm.
who it is right offhand, but it was somebody else. It was four acts, and the tickets were $10. $10
Mm-mm.
for four acts. Man, you and I. I've seen the Isley Brothers. I've seen Teddy Pendergrass, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stephanie Mills, Cameo, OJ's, and
SOS band.
SOS Band, which is my favorite band of if I had to pick my all-time group or band of all time, it would have to I would have to have three bands in there. Really four. I would say Earth, Wind and Fire. I seen them in Murfreesboro at the Murphy Center. I've seen the Isley Brothers, SOS Band, and the OJs. Those are four. I'm talking about top of the line at the time. Acts it was just great music and a great for that time, a great time for that time. It was a it was a slower time than time is now. Time now is fast. Back then was a slower time. The technology was a technology then. You know what I mean? Cause I don't went through the technology phase. I know when we first moved into the projects, everybody had a black and white TV, and you only had four channels. You had 2, 4, 5, and channel. You could pick up a channel 17 or some off-brand channel if you turned the little antenna right. You know, it was it was something else. And boy, when I remember when my mom got her first color TV, it was about 70. I'd say it was around about 72, somewhere along in there. We got our first color TV. It was a 19-inch Curtis Mathis TV. I don't even think they in business now. But that's what it was. And it was expensive TVs, you know, like back then, a color TV was I think that Curtis Mathis cost mama something like probably $700-800. But that was
Really?
yeah, but see, they had a setup where you could pay on time.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, you pay $50 a month or what something like that. Yeah, until you paid it off. Uh, that's where most people that's where most people got their TVs and stuff back in because ain't nobody had no money. You know, everybody was poor. You know, I didn't know I was poor until I got grown. I didn't
Yeah.
because because we had all I needed. We had somewhere we had shelter, and we had food, uh, and we had family, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 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 you can't miss what you don't have. You
Mm-hmm.
can't miss what you don't have. You know that's the good thing about growing up from the bottom and working it to the top. It's a satisfying feeling if you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But see, everybody's not able to do that because life got so many obstacles. And you know, every time it seems like every time that you move one step forward, you take two back. And it takes you a while to get to that step that you lost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I've come a long way. I've come a long way. I would say we come a long way. I would say we. I'm talking about me and my wife Pat. Me and Pat have come a long way. Uh, I got married when I was 22 years old. She was 18 back in 1978. So we've been married 45 years. This year will be 46 years,
Mm-hmm.
December the 1st. So uh, we started out from ground zero, we started out with nothing. We started out with nothing, and we worked it from the bottom to the top.
And you really did. This is why any education after high school, just high school diplomas, both of you.
Yes, I wanted to go to DJ college. Uh, they had one on 8th Avenue in Nashville, and this was back in 1975. Uh, I wanted to go, and I went down there went down there to the place, took a tour and all that. Got through the tour. I asked the man how much was it gonna cost. I think uh, I think back in they had a 6-month course. You could take 6-month course, and then you get a job at the radio station. It was back in '75. A 6-month course, and it cost $3,500, and $3,500 in 1975 was sort of like 1,000 a day. To be honest with you, you had to have co-signing, but see, it's hard to get a co-sign when everybody's poor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like back in the banks, you had to have a co-signer. They had to have some kind of collateral to offset the loan. So it was $3,500. That was a lot of money back then, because the minimum wage was something like $1 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
$1 an hour. But that dollar you could buy so much with that dollar. You know, uh, I if I had $1 back in, I could I could I could get a cold drink, a moon pie, and some candy, cookies, candy, stuff like that, with $1. You can't hardly you get a cold drink and moon pie. It's $2 right there.
You're already
Now,
paying twice as much as
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
paying
yeah,
for what you
yeah,
already
yeah,
got.
yeah. So that's the difference. That and time. You're talking about almost 50 years. So that's a long time. But all in all, you know, through living and looking and observing and uh, figure out the world. Uh, it's been a good experience, but I tell people this: like, if somebody asks me, "Would you want would you want to live to be 100?" And I wouldn't. I don't think I would. I would. I don't think I would want to, because uh, during that 100 year span, you're gonna lose all your family, and all your friends. And most of the time, you are reduced. From what I've seen, you are reduced to loneliness, or either you're stuck in a nursing home. That's my experience coming up. What I see. Uh, uh, and like just everything is just so much different, even from that how I was raised, and how parents are raising kids now. It's just different. When I was raised old school, old fashioned way. You spare a rod, spoil the child. If you done something wrong, you got to whoop. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And if you done something in school, I don't know how they found out what was going on, but by the time we got home, they already knew what had happened in school. You got a whoop in school, and now you got to get one at home. Boy, it was something else. That's about come out so to steer away from from you know, like I wasn't gonna get no two whoop, one at school and one at home. So it didn't take me too many times before I just went straight, you know. Uh I just went straight. I didn't want no whoop. Now I had a brother, you could whoop him every day. He
Will make a difference.
now wouldn't make a difference. He done got immune to it, I guess. I don't know. It's just that's just the way, you know, just the way it was. And you know, a lot of times it's the decision that you make anyway, you know.
Mhm.
But it was pretty good. Everything, you know, worked out.
I wanted to also tell the audience to when you rewatch this episode that a lot of those groups, the dad were he was just naming those groups also casually because he's been in the music his whole life. I mean, a lot of those groups are pretty much staples in the black communities. Like you would never meet anyone that's black, especially in the South. I don't know about other geographic areas, but especially where we're from, those groups, Earth, Wind, and Fire, SOS Band, even smaller groups that people, groups like Dynasty, groups like Climax. I mean, they're not really small groups, but they're very much a part of the Black experience when you talk about music during that era, during the 70s, during the 80s. Um, you may not have been exposed to those groups, you know, mainstream wise, because a lot of these groups, some of them penetrated through like Earth, Wind, and Fire. They penetrated mainstream, but some groups like Cameo probably should have gotten more credit than they did. They're known for hits like Word Up, which came out in '86, but these groups had catalogs 15 years before they actually got international recognition. And so it's important to understand that a lot of these groups didn't get that recognition, but they were also always big within certain communities, especially in the discotheques. Um, New York City was one of the biggest hubs that you could hear this type of music in. The Paradise Garage, Studio 54, as far as like a bigger scale where people could hear this kind of music. But other than that, if you didn't listen to black radio, you would have to know DJs like my dad to even get access to this music because they weren't playing on mainstream radios. Some of these groups, I'm not saying I don't want to make it hyperbolic because some of the groups they did play on mainstream radio, but a lot of these groups, I ask people that aren't black, and they're like, I've never heard of that group before, but they're very much popular groups within our community. So consider listening to some of those groups that he named off earlier um, in this episode. And I think you'll be in for a treat because we have a large international audience. 45% of the people who follow this channel are from outside the United States. And so I think it's a great opportunity for people to get an insight into you as a black person, me as a black person in the South, kind of a Southern culture, but also Black Americana culture in as a whole. It's a great introduction. I think music is a good way to introduce people to these different cultural aspects. But I want to go back to your childhood, and um, and I want to ask about really. I mean, you grew up in a time that was very complex. You grew up in a time when the country was very turbulent. You grew up in
Very,
19. You were born in '55. But before I even get into the question I want to ask about the turbulence of the times that you grew up in, you said you grew up in the projects in Franklin, Tennessee. Did you ever visit the country where my mom is from, where your wife is from, or did you pretty much stick to the projects all the time?
well,
Like,
no,
did you
no,
travel to places?
uh, you know, like where I grew up in the projects is about 5 miles from where she lived. But you know, like back then, you had the city and you had the country. If if you didn't live in the city, like in the city limits, then you were considered out in the country, even 5 miles.
Even
You
if
know,
it's
then that's real. But uh everybody knew everybody back then because everybody had to go to the same stores. You know, like I'm saying, everybody had to go to H.G. Hills or Kroger in Franklin Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had to go to Kroger or H.G. Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you went to a little mom and pop store. See, most of the people went to H.G. Hills or Kroger because they had everything that you needed. You know, like the little mom and pop store didn't have like everything. They had most of your essentials. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, but like even like and, like back then, like things were segregated. Even the music was segregated. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's why it was hard. You had to be you had to have a really, really good following to get, like to get on your big mainstream radio station, predominantly white
Mm-hmm.
stations. Now, uh, the black, like black people had their radio stations too, like WBOL, they played, this soul music. It was called soul music back then.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't no such thing, no R&B. It was called it was called soul music, pop, country, and rock and gospel. Uh, all these other different kind of things that they got out now, electro, techno, and all that. No. You fell into one of those categories back when I was coming up. You fell in one of those categories. You was either country, pop, rock, soul, uh, you know, a gospel. But everything really is based on everything really in this country. Really, I hate to say this, but I know it's true. Everything is based on money. Everything's based on money. If if uh if if everybody is buying like this record, then the other people gonna carry it too because they want to make some money too. Everything's about demand, what people want to hear, and you know, but I always thought that I always thought that music was universal
Mm-hmm.
because uh it, it, everybody in the world can relate to it. A certain song, because all your songs are really just situations that people go through, and just put in a song. And I say a majority of the songs that you done heard, somebody done went through that. Somebody done went through that, and so that's how come you can relate. That's how come I say, it's an old saying that music can calm the savage beast, and that's what humanity to me is.
Mm.
Savage is just like savage beast because this is a dog eat dog world. It really is. I didn't always think like this. It took years for me to find out that that's what it was. You know, uh, uh, I never thought that money was a driving force. I knew that money was good to have to buy things, but I never thought of it as being just the overall driving force. Because when you ain't got it and you don't miss it, you ain't got it, you don't spend a whole lot of time, you know, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know that you ain't poor and you happy, like we didn't have no money, but I can honestly say I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, flip this, flip this, the, the script. Here I am now, years later, 50 plus years later, got a nice home, nice car, well off, I'm retired. But if you ask me to define the word happiness, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because when I was happy, I didn't have worries. And the number one worry in America, believe it or not, I hate to say this, but believe it or not, the number one worry in America is money. People are thinking about it ain't a day that goes by. I can say this, it ain't a day that goes by where you don't get up and money cross your mind. Money cross your mind every day. I didn't know it, but I analyzed my life. I analyzed my thought. Every day, money crosses your mind. Money crosses your mind because everybody wants to live a decent life. And you got to have money to do that. You got to have, and you will always have a bill. You gonna always have a bill. You come in with nothing, but you're going out with a bill. You're going out with a bill, and you know, my advice to people is live your life as can. Uh, really, all life is to me, from what I've observed, is having a good time, going places, you know, going sightseeing, what I call it, going to see Statue of Liberty, going to the city, going to Disney World, or going to Beach Bend Park, or going. It's entertainment. Entertainment is 90, probably 90% of everybody in America's life. If you take away television and telephones and radio, we are reduced significantly. I mean, had people be gone crazy because they're so programmed to, I just way society is.
Now, but back then I believe that you could have gotten away with taking that stuff away.
You could, yeah, because it wasn't, like it wasn't as widespread, and plus I didn't have a TV. Some people didn't have no TV, they just couldn't afford them. You know what I mean? Even a black and white. But nowadays, you can get a TV. You can get a TV from Rent a Center or somewhere. Somebody get it. You can get a TV. You can get a TV.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And I think everything is reduced to entertainment. Going places, but that's life though. That's life. Going to the ball game, or that's just way life is. I wish it was something more where we could occupy our time with. If you took all the time that you spent watching TV and talking on the phone and going to stuff that entertain, like going to the ball game or going to the movies, if you took that time and you could solve society's problems. But see, it's not in the cost to solve the problem. Ain't no money in solving the problem. The money is in the confusion. If you keep everybody you keep everybody confused, they ain't gonna have time to figure out what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we are. That's what everybody, to me, in society has been reduced to. We can't figure out what's going on because we're too entertained. We're too entertained.
Mm-hmm.
We're too entertained.
There's too
And
much going on.
yeah,
And I know on this show we use a lot of words, propagandized, brainwashed, whatever. I mean, a lot of that stuff comes in different forms. It's not what people, and that's why it's so effective. People think that they're watching something that's educational, but there's always a message that's conveyed in whatever you watch on television.
yeah, right.
There's nothing that's just straightforward, just information for the sake of
No,
information. There's always something there that more than meets the eye. But the issue is that people, they've also been taught that their mom and dad fall to certain programs, so they expect their kids to do the same thing. They expect them to follow the same programs that they did. It's
but
like
but but
a cycle all over.
I but that's where I just think that we are so wrapped up into other things that we don't really have time to evaluate ourselves, our own self thought, because it's a lot of things that people have good ideas and good solutions, but as an entity that controls certain uh there are entities that control everything. So you can have the best idea in the world, but if it's gonna change everything for the better, the the people that are in control, that's controlling everything, they don't want that because once they lose control, you know, and that'll never happen. That'll never
Mm-hmm.
happen. As long as you got money and money is driving force, and the people that it's really six entities that running everything in the world, from your TV, from your communications to your wars, all these wars. It's people that's, I hate to say this, but it's people that really start a war to sell, to keep these factories open that make tanks and ammunition, and that is, you talking about what, $1 trillion industry worldwide, better. You can't. It's hard to stop it. See, when you quit fighting and all this equipment sitting around, all them factories going to close up. So you got to keep it up to keep, and that's what society is. That's what society is. And it's everybody's talking about we need to come together, we need to come together. Yeah, we do need to come together, but that'll never happen as long as you have money and people that are controlling money. They're the one who running everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like uh I just don't see no change unless one day they say, well, money ain't worth nothing no more. Then and only then will we have the to the guts towards true survival, towards trying to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but you are reduced to, I say that you are reduced to chasing dollars most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a job. And you got that. You reduce it's not many people that can sit down and say, I ain't thought about money. I ain't thought about money all this. You'll never hear nobody say that. Never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. It's what you said. It takes a lot to resonate. What you said resonates way more than I think people who come onto the show because it's in a language that people understands without even using these terminologies that we use on the show that may go over people's heads and stuff. But what you're speaking to is very much the deep state structure, all that kind of stuff that people throw around a lot. But that's a real thing. There
But
are
but
entities that control the money supply, they control the flow of information, they control all that stuff. That's not the conspiracy theory.
we live in a society where only the money counts. You know, lives, humanity used to be worth more than money, but it's not like that no more. Money is worth more than humanity to a lot of people, to
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the people, because
Mm-hmm.
they got to have it to survive. So, you know, uh, is it gonna get any better? I would I wish I could sit here and say yeah, but knowing history and knowing things, uh, it's it's not gonna get no better. It's gonna get worse. As long as you got three, you got three things that the driving force that keeps the world from really being what people envision in their mind of life and society. You have you have race is going to always be a what? A divider. Because if I'm not of your race, you know, you got too many different ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be on this side or that side. See, that's a divider.
Mm-hmm.
Another divider is politics. Politics is designed to divide. Why? Because you got to have one side or the other. Ain't no in between. Yeah, this, that, and see, that's a divide.
Why isn't there in between?
People, because society had this kind of mindset. If I'm a Democrat or if I'm a Republican, okay, if it if it if it don't fit my belief thing, then it ain't no good. It can't. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's either their way or the highway. Don't nobody want to really sit down and figure out the really complex problem. Everybody don't want to figure it out. Now they'll throw money at it, but see, that's just like this. That's just like somebody said, "Well, I'm gonna help somebody. I'm gonna donate. I'm gonna donate $100 million. They donate $100 million, write it off on the taxes, which make it, which really in turn you ain't really donate nothing. You ain't taking no loss. Most time when you donate something, you are giving something and not getting nothing back. If
Mm-hmm.
I donate $100 million and then turn around and write it off, I'm not really donating nothing. And see, that's way that's how society have tricked everybody tricked like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody tricked like that. And then you got everybody paying, you got everybody paying taxes, all kind of taxes, land taxes, utility taxes, gas taxes, you just name it, food taxes. But the church ain't paying no taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Religion, your greatest divide is religion. You got what 1,000 religions.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 1,000 religions. Everybody believing this way, that way, this way. It's if I'm not a Catholic and I'm a Lutheran, then the Catholic, they're gonna look down on me. If I'm a Mormon, Muslim, uh, uh,
Hindu, anything.
Seventh-day Adventist, Buddhist, or whatever. See, religion divides because if you ain't on board with my religion, then yours is wrong. Everybody got their own ideology, and it's real simple. Everybody got their own but sometimes you got the ability to think for yourself and not be guided by what somebody else tell you. See, a lot of times we do things cause somebody before us done it. Like I said, I go to church, like Mama used to take us to church when we were real little. And so I went to church, Mama took us, took us to the Primitive Baptist Church. It's basically Baptist, Southern Baptist, but it's different than a Presbyterian church, a Lutheran church, non-denominational. See, running everything. Like I said, if you got 1,000 religions, and you got 1,000 different thought patterns, and I thought everybody supposed to be on one accord. You don't get on one because it's a divider.
Mm-hmm.
It's a divider. And I'm gonna say this right here. I don't hate no certain group, but I look at things from what's really happening, the perspective of the truth, because the truth don't need an alibi. Only lies need alibi. The truth don't need an alibi. And see, what is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
What is the truth? Depending on which group you go to. You go in the Middle East, they got their thing. You can go anywhere around the world. Everybody got their own interpretation thing. It's like I said, it's a divider.
Mm-hmm.
It's a divider. And see, a lot of us got to do the because we can read the same. Me and you can read the same thing, and if we read the same thing, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna basically come up with sort of the same scenario. It's the teachings from the religious institution that confuses the people, but that is the key. If you can keep everybody confused, you can control them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep everybody confused, you can control them. Because can't no one person stand up and say, well, I know the truth. Now you know the truth that you was taught, that you heard. If I go to a foreign country, if I go worldly, it's gonna be a different from it's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the dilemma that the world's in.
And that's the reason why you have all these, everything you said connects with what the truth really is, which is all these different divisions, the Israel Gaza stuff that's going on, that's been going on since 1948 and even before.
I know.
It's not just the religious aspect though, it's also is the geography, is these boundaries, these imaginary lines, and it's always the other. It's differentiating this group versus that group. At the end of the day, it still has to have that dynamic for it to work out. It can't be groups that can freely go in and talk to each other. It has to be a boundary.
And That's why your division comes in. It goes back to your teachings. Like so and so, uh, they teaching this, even though they're reading the same material, they teaching this and interpreting it a different way than than this group over here is. And this group over here, they got a different uh they got a different take on it than this. That's a different sect. They got a different interpretation of. You never do come to you never do come to one accord. Everybody always say, well, we come to one accord, this, that, and the other. If you came to one accord, you wouldn't have the division that you have. If you came to one accord, how you gonna have that much division if you come to one accord? You can't. You can't. And it's entities that don't want the world to really know the truth. It's entities that don't because as long as you keep everybody confused, you can control. As long as you keep everybody thinking about this, that, and the other stuff, thinking about what really, really matters in life. See, life is only a short period of time. It's a short window. I'm gonna use this term from a biblical standpoint by just saying this right here. Biblically, they said that a day in the eye of God is 1,000 years. Okay. If a day is 1,000 years and you only live to be 70 years old, in God's eye, you look if you live an hour. You understand the concept? You understand what I'm saying? Life is a short window. Even if you live 100 years, in God's eye, based on 1,000 years, if you live 100 years, you only live what, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
What, 5 minutes? You break it down. So so you only live in a short window, a short span, and I know mankind is real wicked because mankind wants to live forever. Everybody want to live forever. Nothing nothing is forever. It really ain't. Nothing is forever. Not on this earth. Nothing's forever. And life is being such a short span, and the driving thing behind it all is every man for himself. It really is. It's every man for himself because at the end of the day, everybody got their own thought. Everybody got their own way of doing things, so we as a society, it ain't but one thing that'll straighten society up that I think. Let some aliens come. Our whole perspective will change. If everybody went to bed tonight and we woke up tomorrow and looked up at the sky and seen like big spaceships in there, like on Independence Day, that changes perspective. That changes everything because see, mankind think that this is it. But I'm just saying this right here. There's something greater than mankind. I truly believe that there's something greater. There's something greater. And and mankind knows that. That's why I come and trying to go to the moon and building space stations out in the. You could, if society spent all the money that we spend, I'm talking about every country in the world, if they spent all the money that they spent on trying to go to the moon and trying to do this, that, and the other, and spend it on society, the people, it'd be a better place. It'd be a better place. It'd be a better place.
But they've programmed, and when I say they, that can be any of the entities that control the money supply, whether it's the private banks in the world or whatever it is, the Federal Reserve System that everyone's kind of bound to at this point. That buy off the politicians, they fund the wars, they give loans to countries to justify the wars, to keep them going on and on and on. You have to
Yeah.
have a money supply. The IMF, any of these people, all these World Economic Forum people, all these people are connected to the money supply, and the money supply is directly tied to these environmental crises, the wars, any of the catastrophic events that you see. Honestly, they're not even organic. If you took money out of the equation, I don't even think 80% of the shit that we see on television even happens. I think a lot of this shit is caused as a result of this group wanting to maintain their power and control over everybody. And so if you create a disaster, you're going to fuck people up mentally. And so
What?
you're going to always make them reset again. And so you keep doing it over and over and over again. You see catastrophe after catastrophe. And what are the people going to do? They're going to bow down and listen to what they tell them.
You got to look at. I look at things from a practical point. When I say that, I mean this right here. It's real simple. They say, when I say they, I mean the government.
Mm-hmm.
Said we are what, 35, 34, 35 trillion dollars in debt. Okay. Me being just okay, you can just call me a dummy. I'm a dummy. Okay, I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy. Me being a dummy, I'm saying to myself, how is it that a country this powerful with this much riches, how are we owing $35 trillion to anybody?
Mm-hmm.
See, money is I think it's just an illusion, to be honest with you. And the countries that we supposedly owe this money to, man, they'll never get that money. They'll never get it. They'll never get it. How? What they gonna do? Come in and take it? They never get it. And you know they get out we owe, and I'm saying to myself, how did we owe from the jump? If everybody's paying taxes throughout everybody contributing throughout the time, how are we borrowing money from other countries? How? I don't understand it. It's an illusion. I'm telling you, it's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever they owe, I hate to say it, but man, them people they don't get paid, man. They let my will China. They'll never be paid. They'll never be paid. They'll never be paid. Every time I seen somewhere say, if each household in America paid what they said, 50,000 or 100,000 or whatever dollars, that we'd had it paid off. Man, do you know how much money $100,000 for a family? Let's get something straight from the jump, America. You got way more poor folks than you got rich folks. And they trying to break poor down now into segments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got this poor Then you got the trailer park pole. You got the projects pole. Then you got I'm renting an apartment pole. Then you got I'm leasing a house pole. Then you got what they call they try to sort of trick everybody about nasty. This you in the middle class. Middle class. How you got to look at things from a practical point. You got more people poor because that's how you control. That's how you control. Everybody is not. If you gave, I tell you what, if you gave everybody in the United States, if you gave everybody $10 million, half of them gonna blow it.
They're gonna spend it.
They're gonna spend it. They're gonna spend it. I'm telling you, you're gonna have people. You're gonna have more poor than you had at first. That's the way things always work out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way things always work out. And in the end, money is not gonna save. Money can't save your dignity or your. I'll give you self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
You got, if too many things are easily sold and bought with money. I can buy it, like you say it's sold for money. But what is it to have a lot of money and lose your soul? What is it to have a lot of money and not, like not, they say more money, more problems. There's a whole lot of people will want them problems.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that want them problems. How I read the paper the other day where thing where it say Musk what he was making 56 million, 56 billion or however much it was.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying to myself, man, you know how much you had to make an hour to make $56 million a year. And you might watch that clear, because along with loophole, see, all that's by design.
Mm-hmm.
All that's by design. If I got $2 billion, I can find loopholes. But if I'm making $25,000, $30,000 a year, I ain't got no loophole. It'll catch me if I don't turn in $1,000 where somebody cut the grass and I didn't, I went out and cut somebody's grass and made $1,000. They'll get me for that.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody else that's worth $1 billion, he got a loophole. Man, he tell me that's about design, man. It's by design.
Hey, I want to get back to your childhood, but man, you kind of fast forwarded, which is fine because man, I've enjoyed the insight into your way of thinking and stuff. I've been really enjoyed that a lot. But a lot of what you said, like I said, would resonate with people because it'll make people who I probably wouldn't be able to connect with the same way. It may make them reconsider their thoughts. It may make them reconsider what you're saying because you're the one that's saying it to them. A lot of time is who's delivering the message and the language that they're speaking within that message because you come from a unique generation. And I want to get back to that point about your generation. You're technically considered a baby boomer, right? You're a baby boomer.
Right.
And so you been a baby boomer, I think you have a unique perspective. I think baby boomers get a lot of flack for the wrong reasons from young generations. But I think that the generations have to be able to learn from each other. That's the only way it's going to work out. And I'm not convinced that the generations are that different if you break it down, because everything you're saying, it seems like you still have to have certain things to survive. It's not like things all of a sudden changed when it came to like living. You still have to have certain things to be able to make it in the
Everything is really the same. It's just the time is that is different. And if I had to give people advice on how to really try to help their own self, is I've done this once and it helped me tremendously. And I tell people this right here. Instead of giving the government uh, all your money, because there's a tax everywhere. You can go grocery store, you pay a tax everywhere. Think about yourself and just have the mentality to say pennies make dollars. And to get that penny to dollars, this is what you do. I'm telling this to America. Start doing it next week. Save a dime out of every dollar that crossed your hand. If you got $10, put $1 away. If you got $100, put 10 away. That's a dime. Save a dime out of every dollar that come across your hand. And I guarantee you, in 5 years, 10 years or less, you'll be surprised money you done compiled. Just don't touch it. Just tell, I'm gonna save a dime out of every dollar. Somebody that's making $500 a week or $400 a week, take $40 and just put it in a jar and say, I am, no matter what, I'd have to do without that extra ice cream this week. I'd have to do without. See, we spend our money on a whole lot of bogus stuff because everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. Everybody, trying to keep up. We spending money on potato chips and skip that bag of chips this week. Save that dime. Save that dime out of every dollar. Save a dime out of every dollar. And you'll be surprised. I'm gonna tell you what I done. I was in CPS. They had a Christmas savings. And when you get in a Christmas savings, you had to put in $25. And every payday, they would take out $25 to put in your Christmas savings. Okay, I started out with $25. And I devised a plan. Here's my plan was. I had to get used to living on the money that I was making. And every time they give me a raise, I tell them, don't put it on my check. Put it in my Christmas savings.
Mm.
And don't you know, after about 1 or 2 years, I was getting a check every Christmas for $10,000.
You serious?
I'm serious. I'm telling you, working at CPS, I started out with $25. I say after the Christmas savings, I probably was in there about 10 years or better. But I was getting a check. See, every time they give me a raise, I tell them not to put on my check, put in my Christmas savings.
And you had that option?
Yeah, because see, you can't miss what you don't have. See, I didn't have the extra money on my check, so I was still living within my check.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the extra money because it never went on my check. It went to another account.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't spend it, and I couldn't get it out. It stays in there to Christmas. And like I said, I was getting a check every year for $10,000 out of my Christmas savings. So how you do it? I had them went from $25. They was putting in $200 a week in my Christmas savings. And that was on it. Every time they give you a cost of living raise every year. And you're like, we worked on like production lines. You run so many pieces and you get extra money for production. Mm-hmm. Don't put that on my check, I put that production money, that extra money, extra $20, extra $30, extra $40. Put it away, because as long as it ain't on your check, you can't spend it. Mm-hmm. And boy, you talking about adding up. That's my advice to America. Try to save a dime out of every dollar that cross your hand. And I guarantee you, in time, you'll be surprised how much that adds up to.
Let's rewind a little bit and go into and I don't know if you remember this exact point as a kid. I know you told me things like before we got into this interview, but do you remember when integration happened when you were a kid?
I remember.
What was the moment like? And tell us, how was integration for you growing up in the South in Franklin, Tennessee?
Here's what integration to me was. When they first said something about integration, I was going to a school called Brentwood. This was back during the time when blacks went to black schools, white went to the white school. It was segregated. It was segregated. Okay, they started integration in 67, 68, really, because I went to this school called Brentwood Elementary School. It's on Hardscuffer Road in Brentwood, Tennessee. It was a black school. I lived in the projects in Franklin, 3 or 4 blocks from Johnson Elementary School, the black school. I wound up at Brentwood because my dad's cousin drove the school bus. And he told Daddy, said, just bring him over here. I'll get him down there. I don't know why I didn't walk to Johnson.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? I don't know why I didn't walk 3 blocks. I don't know why I didn't walk 3 blocks. I went all the way to Brentwood. Okay. I went from Brentwood from the 1st grade. And when I got to the 8th grade, that's when integration started. They said, we're shutting down Brentwood, and they give me a choice that you can go to Franklin Elementary. Back then you go to any school as long as you had a way there. It wasn't too much zone like it got its zone now. Mm-hmm. You could, if you had a way there, you could go. And so I went to Brentwood all 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade with the kids that I grew up, went to school with. And they said they was gonna go to the Lipscomb on Concord Road in Brentwood. And I told myself I'll be there because I couldn't with the John. That's when they integrated. That they shut down Brentwood. I was in the 7th grade with my last year at Brentwood. Mm-hmm. When I went to the 8th grade, it was in 68. That's when I went to Lipscomb for that 1 year in the 8th grade. That's when they integrated. But see, the thing doing integration that hurt, that I thought was really sort of crazy to me, was they shut down all the black schools and kept all the white schools, which was crazy to me. They shut down Evergreen, Burwood. They shut down Evergreen. They shut down Natchez High School. They shut it down. They kept it a couple of years, but all the black schools, they shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that would have started of, you know, after starting of integration, and the country at the time was divided. You know, it was divided. You know, you didn't want, you know, you had people that they didn't want black people coming to their school. You heard about Arkansas and all that.
The Little Rock
George
Nine, yeah.
Wallace standing in the door and all that
Mm-hmm.
crazy mess. And see, those were the times. America was going through some turbulent times. Those were some turbulent times. From you know, from the time that they killed Malcolm X in '65. 3 years later, Martin Luther King. And see, all that was systematically done, you know, because here's the thought. And back then, didn't nobody want to die. Didn't nobody want to die. And it was easy to die back then.
Mm.
It was easy for people to come around to your house, and especially in the South, and just take you out somewhere and kill you. It was easy. But you know, that's just the way it was. And based on the theory that no one wants to die, here is how you systematically kill all the black leaders. You take out Malcolm, you take out Dr. King. After they took out Dr. King, wasn't nobody black willing to die. We had people willing to talk, Jackson and all them that tried to take it up, but they were wanting to talk. They wasn't willing to die. And see, every time, that is how you control a people too. Every time they get a leader, kill them. And that's what the government, United States, that's the government thought process. You know, people that run the government. It wasn't really nothing sophisticated. I think most of America knew what was happening, but wasn't nothing they could do. After all, the government back then was like the government. You can't beat the government. You can't beat the government. You can't beat the government.
The government's like the house in the game of blackjack.
It's just like, that's right. It's just like Tupac said. You get a gun, the government get a bigger gun. A more sophisticated gun. You know, you just can't beat the government. See, and that's just the way it is. But society done changed a lot. We done come a long way, but we still, I say we done come a long way, but we still ain't went far. We done come a long way, but we ain't went that far. Not within the 50 years plus since the Civil Rights Act was passed. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You talking about 50, 60 years. We didn't come a little ways, but if you really look at it from a practical point of view, we done come a little ways in them 60 years, but we still got a whole lot to go. But see, by everything being so money driven now, to be honest with you, race it ain't a bigger card as it used to be. It ain't a bigger card as it used to be because at one point in time, race was more important than money. Because didn't nobody have no money.
Mm-hmm.
It done flipped. The script done flipped now. Money is more important. Money is what drives is the driving force in this society over here. In this society, money is the driving force. Money can change things.
Mm-hmm.
Like money can change things.
So what you're speaking to is without saying it, what you're speaking to, this word with the C word class, you haven't mentioned. I don't think I've heard you say capitalism at all during this whole interview.
No, I have.
But a lot of the stuff you said, and I understand why, because a lot of people, I think that's part of the issue is once you start applying the labels to things, people automatically have these knee-jerk reactions to it. It's like they get their feelings hurt when you say something.
Yeah. And you know, I used to think the same way. I used to think my feeling gonna be hurt, but then I got to thinking, why am I concerned about my feeling being hurt? Ain't nobody else concerned. Ain't nobody else concerned about how you're feeling hurt. What they say, if you're feeling hurt, you just shake it out and keep going.
Yeah.
But see now, you heard people feeling nowadays, and it's you know, we done been reduced. Society has been reduced. Society has been reduced. It's a dog eat thing, and I always have been. Really, I just was too poor to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But and you know, everybody back then had this thought too. Everybody always had the thought that we wanted our kids to have more than we had, which was a good thought, but looking back, it was a good thought, but it was a mistake. I believe it was a mistake because by us wanting our kids to have it better than we had, we took away the incentive for the kids to thrive because they didn't have to work as hard or do as much because we was an enabler. We was giving it to them, you know, like giving them a car when they 15 and 16. When I grew up, we had one car and it was ragged. It was about a 62 or 3 Fairlane Ford. Probably cost about $700-800 when it's brand new back then. You know what I mean? Did nobody give us no cars and all this? We wouldn't know how to act if we'd have been like the kids of today back then. Man, we wouldn't know how to act. We wouldn't have. But see, all the kids so much more. They just don't know how well off they got it now because they ain't really have to they didn't really have to struggle for it. Most of the time, we had the thought, I want my kid to have it better than I had, and somehow we made a way. But in doing that, we took away some of the incentive to drive. I always will believe that.
But based on what you said earlier about you use your dime theory about for every $100 you do, you save 10 for every dollar you save a dime. What do you say when you've already admitted that money doesn't go as far as it used to back then, and according to all the economic reports, the generations are actually getting more in debt and more poor than even your generation. So how are people supposed to sustain for future generations when you got that problem with the money supply, the way they devalue our money and stuff?
Well, society changed, and it didn't just change, but it all boils down to the mindset. The mindset, and which I can't blame people. It's it, It's the mindset. We don't want something that's gonna get us there and back. That's practical. We want a Mercedes or a Lexus. Ferrari. You know what I mean? You couldn't, man, give me no plain old car. See? And that's mindset. And see, you can't help but feel that way because society pushes that on you. Pushes that on you. You ain't, you know, it's people that would rather spend $40,000 or $50,000 on a car that they can't afford than to spend that kind of money on housing or something.
Mm-hmm.
People buy a fancy car before they think about where they're gonna let it head at. That's the mindset that's that mindset, that the thinking, that's society puts on, you know, and that's just the way it is, man. Society got a way of dictating your life. We don't, but that's because most people just don't take the time out to they got us in such of a rat race position. We don't have the time to really focus and think about the practical solution.
Mm-hmm.
When you are in a dazed, confused state, your whole life divided, twisted, but that's what they want. Keep you in that state. That way you will always be under control. When you get to the point where you can really use sound logic and you'll be able to make better, clear-cut decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But that ain't where we're at. We're not there. Society is on the other side with all the money. You got society, the money, and then you got the poor and the practical sense. You got practical sense, but just don't have the finance to do nothing.
There, we talked about music earlier. There are two songs. One that I think is pretty much universally agreed upon, that it was like the first hip hop conscious. It was the first rap song that was meant to deliver a message. It was called The Message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Right.
That song and a song by Fatback that you mentioned earlier, a band called Fatback, Is This the Future? That song, you could play both of those songs now and you would not know what year it was. It applies to any year, future, past, present, because of how true the message is.
But the OJ's got a song
The
called
OJs do too.
For the Love of Money.
For the Love of Money.
If you listen to that song thoroughly, the same thing that's happening in society today applies to that record. That record put out back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 70s. At 50 years ago. And that same song, if you listen to that song, it is exact what he's saying in that song applies right today.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make you kill your own brother. It'll make you rob somebody. Money will, for the love of money.
Mm-hmm. Those some strong songs, man. Those songs are timeless.
Those songs was a good conscious song. That I know the ones that were running hated it because it was kicking knowledge. It was telling them, it was feeding knowledge. And see, anytime you feed knowledge, they don't like that because they want everybody to stay in that trap position because that's the only way that control is relevant.
But something you said earlier, even those 3 examples of those songs, even though they were put out by Black artists, I don't even think I think you could take songs from any genre back then. Even the song by Paul Hardcastle, 19 was a conscious song about the Vietnam War.
Yeah, right.
That tells you how much even the music industry has changed. That also goes into the telecommunications, because I don't think you could put a song like that to that type of social context today in 2024 just by the way the music industry is so controlled. I don't think you can put out songs that deeply societally targeted.
They would not put they wouldn't have a song like that because what Paul Hardcastle was really, he was painting a picture and telling the truth about what was really going on. You had the average age of the soldier in Vietnam was 19. That is saying something. You got the average age of your whole army is 19. That's saying something. That is saying something. And here's where I got a problem with that. 19, you can go off the war and get killed, but you can't buy a bill. Don't you think that's stupid? Don't that sound stupid to you? You can go off the war and get killed, but you can't buy a bill. War. That's where it was back in when I was coming
up. I'm going to
I think it's like that. And the drinking age 21 now, still 21.
It was 18 at one point in your era, but they raised it to 21. They changed it in the 70s at some point, but it was 18. They jumped it to 21. I think it was in the late 70s they changed that.
That's crazy. You can go off the wall, but you can't buy a bill.
But I'm going to tell you something else. It tells you also we have a weird vibe in the United States. I don't know if this goes back to because we got like these puritanical origins, like the Pilgrims and all that shit, and there's so much religious influence in the government. Kind of like people can say that it's not there, but it is there. Every time you look, people they're putting their hand on the Bible. It's like even when they run for public office, they have to have everything has to be nuclear family. You have to have a wife. You have to have a husband. You have to have kids. It can't be just a single person running for office. They have to be a perfect family, quote unquote. Everything is like a certain image.
But you know something? It's supposed to be a separation from church and state. Remember how? But it's not. It's not. It ain't no it's not no divide between that. I think the church and the state, I mean, is walking hand in hand.
100%.
They're walking hand in hand.
Sure, yeah.
They're walking hand in hand.
No doubt. And that's proved by just and that's what we try to do in the forum, is to educate people to not think in terms of blue and red and even other colors, but think in terms of your politician that you support, your favorite politician is not even likely. Your favorite politician is guaranteed to have been bought off. All you have to do is go to Open Secrets, type in Open Secrets in Google, and it tells you the corporation that funds that politician.
Right. And
every politician is tied to some kind of a corporation.
Yeah, and they're gonna vote what the corporation wants.
And they're gonna vote based on the corporation, not and we fight over all this other stuff.
All this stuff. And they're not looking out for your interest, they're looking out for their own interests. All the politicians really ain't nothing but a bunch of crooks, really. You just have a bunch of crooks. Some of them just ain't as greedy as others. That's basically all it is. They talking about, we gonna pay this law to help you do that, and do that. And other. You wouldn't have to do that if you took all the money that you spent overseas, sending this much of that country and this country and did that. America would have, our problem would be solved. Our problem would be solved. But see, that's all. That's part of the control mechanism. All that's part of the control mechanism. You know, and every country that has a lot of natural resources, which is money, like Russia. Russia got oil.
Oh yeah.
Saudi Arabia, they got oil, but they also have influence. That money, that oil and money is influence on their agenda, what they want. You know what they want. And as long as they got oil, which is money, they're gonna get that. They're gonna keep controlling. What can you do with Saudi Arabia? I think they control what 70% of the world's oil. If they say, well, we're gonna quit pumping, that's it. The world is at a standstill now. We got all these cars worldwide that run on gas. You know what I'm saying? And you got everything that runs on energy. You know, energy. We just stuck. Now they talking about going to electric. Electric. To me, it's just a fancy way of going from oil to electricity. You still gonna have a when you stop by the charging station, you think you're gonna charge that car free? It's just like buying gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know, it's all just a big racket, man. It's just a big racket.
Siddharth Kata, I tried to get him on the show unsuccessfully. He wrote a book called Cobalt Red: How the Blood of the Congo Powers Our Lives. That book is a very important book when we talk about the move to electric vehicles. If you read the book Cobalt Red: How the Blood of the Congo Powers Our Lives, you'll think twice about this whole idea of electric cars, because they literally have people extracting cobalt, kids of all ages, adults, it don't matter, in Africa, basically killing themselves, extracting that cobalt. This stuff is this. We pay the price. Everything's in our iPhone. All this shit is in our iPhone. This stuff is in our computers. This stuff is in all the technology we use. It's not just coming out of thin air. There's still labor being exploited, extracted, and that's something that we don't talk about.
But it'll always be like that.
Yeah.
As long as you got money, you can always have cheap labor. It's going. As long as you got money, you always got some group or somebody that's gonna work a little cheap. You know what I mean? It's just a society, man. That's just the way it is.
Something you said though about that when you talked about Saudi Arabia, I want to examine that a little bit, because I know you followed this stuff a long time. I know you followed the Israel-Palestine. This has been something in the news. It seems like almost a clockwork. Every 5 to 10 years, it's highlighted more times than usual, or sometimes they diminish what's going on in that part of the world. But it's always a constant news story, constantly.
Because you got to look at that stuff that happens in the Middle East affects us. Why? Because we rely on the Middle East for stuff. We rely on the Middle East for oil and cheap labor from Asia. Uh, it's uh, it's like a big cycle, man. You can't feed the world. Uh, you can't feed the world, even though you're running the world.
Mhm.
That sounds crazy, but that's true. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor.
Mhm.
And you know, it just seems like every country, once they say, well, every country that I know has done had some kind of war. And I think it's all that by design, though.
Mhm.
Uh, all that by design.
But there's one country that you never hear about getting into wars. You know what that country is?
Who?
And it's a Western country, Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, you know why don't you?
You tell us
Because
why.
Switzerland, it's got a lot to do with the money supply. You don't believe that, do you?
I believe it. I totally believe it. I'm trying to get you to illuminate the audience. I know about.
And if you got a lot to do with the money supply, ain't nobody gonna fight you because everybody, all these other countries is what? They want their money.
Mm-hmm.
They want that. They you know, if you know, everybody wants their money. Everybody wants their money.
I say those two countries more than any other country in the world. Those two countries, Switzerland and Saudi Arabia, that we mentioned, they're strategically located. Switzerland's in dead center in the middle of Europe, and Saudi Arabia is dead center in the middle of Asia.
Yeah.
This stuff is, and also these wars that are being justified. Ukraine is in a very strategic location. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe. And honestly, for me, it's the first because I don't consider Russia a part of Europe. And if people have considered Russia a part of Europe now, geopolitically, Russia is Asia. If you base it on, if you factor in politics and everything, you can't say that Russia is a European country because the
No,
way
because
the Western media portrays Russia,
hey,
it's
Russia,
obviously something else.
don't Russia border China.
Russia borders China, absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. But you know why come they ain't calling them Asians, though?
Why is that?
Because everybody looks. Most of your Asians, you can tell somebody from China by how they look, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell nobody from Russia by how they look.
I tell you something. Russia's a mixed bag, though. But see, you know what? Most people are ignorant of this, though. If you go to Russia, there's lots of Asian subgroups and minority groups. There's lots of Mongols. There's lots of Uzbeks. There's lots of Tartar people. There's all types of Asian people in Russia. There's all types of Muslims in Russia. But it's almost like they're hidden, or at least they're used in certain moments to be highlighted, but in other moments it's like they give you the impression that Russia's just a bunch of white people, but it's not if you examine it.
No, I know it. Yeah, but see, uh, you gotta look at it like this though. They Russia, they are they are controlling all them other groups. So they're not no threat. They control them, and you know, like Russia ain't like here. They're a little bit more extreme. They don't need justification to busting your door down and all that. You know, you bust somebody's door down here in this country, I'm gonna sue them and this, that, and the other, and you know, over there, they don't need justification. It's total control. That's the only way you can. That's the only way you can keep. Uh, that's the only way you can keep stuff from breaking out.
So you think the government's stricter there than it is here?
Yeah, they got to be because put it this way, it ain't as many freedoms in Russia as it is over here. We got uh this is really a free country, because you can say stuff over here that you can't say that same stuff over there in Russia.
Yeah, but
Uh,
freedom at what cost? I guess that's the issue I have, though.
Now the hit squad against
I'm not sold on the freedom part here. I just think it's a way. I think it's a way. It's kind of what you taught me. Like you're fucked anyway, but they give you the impression that you're doing something that's free. I mean, what is freedom? I guess that's my issue I have with that, because you already admitted that the government here controls everything. So at that point, it's like if the government controls everything, then what freedom do you have?
well, to me, freedom is I don't think you'll ever truly ever be free unless you're dead.
Mm.
I really believe that. You'll never truly be free until you're dead, until you done leave all the problems of society and the world behind. Then you're free then, because you ain't got that on your mind.
Mm.
As long as you live, you're gonna always have societal burden on your mind. You're gonna always have societal burden on your mind. Somebody's always, you free, but are you free? And you know, people talking about, I can say what I want to say. Not, you can say what you want to say up until a point. Up until a point. Up until somebody don't want to hear it no more. You know what I mean? That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't believe in no true freedom. I never have. You'll never be truly free until you gone on.
But see, that's where you and I maybe differ some, because I think that's more propaganda. This whole idea that we got more freedom than people in other countries. People use that stuff as a way to make them look more demonic and make us look like we're more positive or more.
No, we are just demonic as they are. The way I look at it. The way I look at it, everybody's in the same boat. It ain't no this good group and this and that. Everybody's in the same boat. The only difference is they do the things a little bit different than we do.
Mm-hmm.
They do this a little bit different. They're doing the same thing. They smoking crack in Russia. They smoking crack here. You know what I mean? The only difference is if you get caught with crack over there, you might get shot. You might get the fire squad. Where you get caught over here, you might have to go to jail. That's real talk.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
I get what you're saying.
But see, that's really hypocritical. Because everybody's a hypocrite. Because the same drugs that they smoking in Russia, somebody got to be bringing it in.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no, and it's the same entities that bring it over there, bring it over here.
100%. But something I wanted to touch on though, before I lose it, the Saudi Arabia comment you made is something I want to examine, because I know on this show we've had a lot of people, and I talked to S.L. Kempton recently. I believe it's episode 98. S.L. Kempton is a geopolitical analyst based in Bangalore, India, and we talked about the Gaza, the Palestine, Israel just bombing just Gaza. It seems like at clockwork now. But somebody's got to be giving Israel the money to do this. Somebody's giving Israel the military equipment to do this. Somebody's giving them the artillery to do this.
Who you think it is?
I already know it. The Western countries, a lot of countries.
That's right. But see, the reason I don't like to spend a whole lot of time talking about Palestinians and Israel, because it ain't been, and I got to look at my own people here. I ain't got time to worry about what they doing now. I got to look at my people here and what done happened the last 100, 200 years. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because the same thing is happening everywhere. The same thing that's happening over there happening everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
What are they really fighting over? What are they really fighting over? I bet you $100 is religion
Or money.
or money. One of the two. The one you know they say money is the root of all evil. It starts with money.
Well, it's just like you said, with that comment right there, to me, that puts everything in perspective. The news and everyone else involved, all these diplomats and stuff, you mean to tell me that this, and you know, the ceasefire, I think that out of the 15 countries, 13 said they wanted to declare a ceasefire, and 2 countries didn't. The UK abstained and the United States vetoed. 13 countries on board with stopping this stuff going on. The messed up part is this, something you said. I asked a bunch of people, what is the responsibility of Arab countries? If the issue is the Arabs are being attacked by Jews, if you want to use that line of thought, what's to stop Saudi Arabia? Why come they just can't cut off the energy lines? What's stopping them from doing that? And they
Because here's what's stopping them from doing that. You don't want to mess your money up. If they cut off the energy line, they're gonna be stuck with just a whole bunch of orders. They just said, you see what I'm saying?
And they can't go that long. They can't go a couple of weeks or days without.
Where they gonna put it? You got to quit pumping, or something. You gonna run out of storage space. Once you refine it, you're gonna run out of somewhere to store it.
Mm.
And but see, it's hard to. It's just like this too. It's hard to stop that kind of money. You know how much money you're talking about. It's hard to stop that kind of money. Because that is so much control.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much that is so much control. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's revealing when it first after October the 7th and Hamas stuff, and then the Israeli retaliation. I think it's funny because they called a conference. I believe it was in Iran, is where they had a conference, or Saudi Arabia, maybe where they had. I think it was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. They had a conference, basically determining what the Arab countries would do in the situation. And guess what? They didn't follow through. So if the Arab countries, if the whole Arab question was a concern, because people keep using the word genocide that's going on right now. I mean, I've never thought of a place and time where words that were used 100 years ago are used more now, like fascism and Hitler. It's like that stuff is coming up more and more now. You would think you were living in the 20s and the 30s, the language that people are using to describe some of these things.
History repeats itself. It ain't nothing that the same thing that they're doing now, they're doing it 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing changed except a few details, but basically the same thing. It ain't like, I look at it like this. It ain't like they started fighting 10 years ago. This has been going on for a long. You got to go all the way back biblically, man. You got to go all the way back for a long time. It's been happening a long time.
Yeah, there's
And and
questions of land and ties to the land and stuff. That's
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, it's been happening a long time, and so it's gonna keep on. It's gonna keep on happening. Uh, I'm not surprised. I knew. Be honest with you, I'm surprised that the last that I'm surprised that it was peaceful for long as it for, for that longer period of time. It don't seem like it's been fighting since Alfred died.
Oh, they have. They
I
have.
know it, but not on no big grand scale. You know what I mean? It's always been the skirmishes for forever. You can go back, they've been fighting forever. That's how come I really ain't got the energy to dwell on their problem.
I know what you mean.
We got bigger fish to fry here.
I know. And I tell you something, man. I kind of thought too, just with the timing of this stuff. I don't think that this stuff is just. I don't think the timing is coincidental. There's so much going on right now because you had the Ukraine Russia shit going on,
I think
and then
everything planned.
it seemed like just conveniently all of a sudden this October the 7th stuff happened.
I
And
think everything is planned.
I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced. I'll say this just to be for the sake of neutrality. I'm not convinced that Israel didn't have anything to do with October the 7th.
Well, if you wanna, I look at it like this. The only reason they're raising a whole lot of fuss about it now, they've been killing each other for years, every year. The only reason they raising that because they shot first.
But I was also
They
kind of
shot
keeping.
they shot first and surprised them and like so many people died. The first on the first surprise, they were just surprised. They just got surprised.
But see, Netanyahu, his government was basically on the verge of collapsing before this happened. That's why
He needed a war.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But
That's
people are
right.
connecting the dots.
That's right. He needed a war.
He needed a 9/11 type
That,
event.
that he stays in power. They're not finna get rid of him now.
Mm-hmm.
He stays in power because see, they ain't finna get rid of him. I believe they finna get rid
I
of
know
him.
they were.
They
He
finna
a
get rid
lot
of
of
him and get
opposition.
somebody else.
A lot of
And,
opposition.
and if you notice, the war started just in time to save him.
Mm-hmm.
He needed it.
And then also it redirected the attention because I'm sorry, like with people with the Ukraine flags on their profile, you know damn good well Ukraine has no chance against a superpower like Russia. And the only reason why the Ukrainians are losing, I can't tell you the statistics, but they're losing people at so much of a rate that they got people who aren't even able to fight. They got them trying to fight.
But you gotta look at it. Look at it two ways. Russia is Russia, but Russia is not Russia. And when I say that, I'm saying this. Russia thought they were going to take Afghanistan down.
Oh, with the Soviets.
They were there for 20 years, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They never did take them down. They never did. They look powerful as Russia was. And Afghanistan, what they have, they throwing rocks, ain't they? They don't have no great big army and baby and all that. It's like Russia. They throwing rocks, ain't they? How did they sustain that long with what they have? Wiffle ball bats, spears.
You silly, man.
How did they last? You got to look at things for a practical. Russia couldn't even whoop them. And it looked like they'd been easier than they should have been way easier than Ukraine to me. But see, it's one thing them Afghanistan, you know, they got that mentality like they'll strap a bomb on themselves and just walk down there and kill all the Russian soldiers and say they done it for Allah. You see what I'm saying? Some countries are dying in what they believe. You ain't gonna get nobody over here to strap no bomb on themselves and walk down through y'all. We ain't gonna do it. We bomb from a distance. Russia bombed from a
You say
distance.
bomb from a distance.
That's what Russia bombed from a distance. You don't see no Russians walking around with no bombs strapped on themselves, walking down through the field. No. The
I get what you
belief
said.
and the thought and the belief. Because I'm like it. Russia getting to the point where they can't hardly whoop nobody. And they talking about nuking Ukraine, little old Ukraine. You're gonna nuke Ukraine because y'all couldn't win the war in a week. You're gonna be there for years just like you was in Afghanistan.
Yeah, there's a lot going on though there too. That there's a lot of details been missing too though with that that we've talked about on the forum. It's really 4 provinces that Russia is looking at because they have Russian majorities in those provinces, and the Ukrainians were ethnically cleansing those same people like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And the Western media is kind of not talking about that because Ukraine has, at one point, Ukraine had pretty strong neo-Nazi ties, and they still do. But back in 2014, the neo-Nazis, even though they didn't make up a large percentage of those areas, they still had substantial control over certain people. And they were ethnically cleansing certain people. There's a lot that's going on that we don't really get here because it's not meant for us to get the full picture. We don't get fragments.
You know what come Russia don't mess with China? You know what come Russia don't mess with China? Don't Russia, it borders China, don't it? You'll never hear about them. Why come Russia ain't trying to take China? They border, you know. How come, you know why? Because China got a 200 million man army. 200 million man army is a lot of soldiers. They can overrun Russia. 200 million, you just take off running down. Russia can't contain them all.
No doubt. Russia's definitely an imperialistic force because an imperialism doesn't want to compete with other imperialism. You don't want to match someone that has as much firepower as you do.
And
so you go like to a smaller.
You got to look at it like this too.
I get that.
Russia is a country. China is a dynasty. You know what? It's a difference. It's a difference. It's a difference. It is a difference between a dynasty and a country. China's always been China. China's always had a whole lot of people. See, everybody used to think the Chinese were dumb. Because, you know, everybody was, you know, like this Western thought, everybody was saying, man, they sending that stuff over there. Man, China making that stuff, they ain't getting paid for the nickel and a dime. Get them nickel and dime added up, didn't they? Now, China is an economic juggernaut. By fixing all our stuff and what China done was fix our stuff so good that they took all the manufacturing. That's not because we don't make nothing over here no more, because we had China doing it. And we shut our stuff down for the cheap labor that China was doing. Now they making everything, and we are depending on them.
We ain't got no manufacturing base
We ain't
whatsoever.
got no manufacturing. No, because we had them making everything for all them years. Everybody, I was growing up, man. I used to have people talking about they be cracking them Chinese jokes. I didn't really understand because I was too young, you know. But now, who's getting the last laugh now? Man, they send that over to China. Man, they don't make it but a nickel and a dime. They make it but a quarter, or you know, all that cheap labor, this, cheap labor, that. And they diminish our manufacturing because all our manufacturers saying, hell, I just get them to make it, and then I just bring it back over here and sell it. That way you can shut down all our factories, and we won't have to worry about taking care of no workers, insurance, and all that deal with it.
So what you're
Now,
saying is the U.S. led to its own demise.
when we quit making stuff here and start getting it made overseas where it was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
All them little countries, you know, like you get something made in Japan, made in China, made in I've seen stuff where it said made in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
The very people who we got all our people killed. Now you go to Vietnam now. Vietnam is almost America. McDonald's and everything.
Mm.
It used not be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all that was designed so that they made a deal. Yeah, y'all beat it, but just let us bring Walmarts and McDonald's. And
Let's put our enterprises over there.
All these global corporations over there.
Mm-hmm.
All about that money, man. It is unbelievable.
So going
And
to
they got us reduced here at home. See, they got us reduced here at home, divided. We so miserable, we blaming the other country for our own problem. See, that's what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
We blaming the other country for our own problem, for our own stupid politicians that was doing everything wrong for money. That shut down all the manufacturing for money. For the big, the big corporations, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And they in cahoots with the banks. They in cahoots with it just everything is connected, man.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's connected. Your power companies, see everything is everything's connected and everything is government driven. They gonna talk about I'm gonna tell you another concept here in America that got everybody twisted. Everybody talking about I own my house. No, you don't. You don't own your house. I don't own this house. On paper, I do, but I don't. Because if I don't pay them taxes next year or the year after that, they're gonna take my stuff. I thought I owned.
Or if they have a project that they want to build through your house, if they want to build something, in your neighborhood, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, because they passed eminent domain. They can just take it now. They ain't got to wait on no city ordinances and all that. The government know what they're doing too. And you don't own nothing. It's an illusion. You don't own nothing. If you think you own it, quit paying taxes on it and see what happens to it. The only thing you own is clothes on your back, and you can own a car. You can own a car, but the thing about a car, you got to pay taxes on the car. You got to pay, you got to get a driver's license. You got to have insurance. See, it's a whole lot of things tied into it. You just can't go buy no car to get in and start driving. You got all these other little things you got to do. And every year you got to do what? You got to keep getting your license tags renewed. You can't drive. So you don't really own nothing. No, you don't really own nothing. It's just what I call long-term lease. Long-term lease, and all you're doing long-term lease. And I'm trying to tell y'all, if you're gonna do anything, live life to the fullest. And if you go out, if you die on folks or on the city or whatever you want, that's the way I look at it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've seen them been beat too many times. I've seen people beat too many times.
So this is something, since you brought that up, I was discussing this with somebody that I work with about this whole question around student loan. And I said to myself, what if everyone decided not to just pay their loans at all? What could they do? If everyone says like, fuck, I'm not paying anything.
They're gonna start garnishing checks and all that. What you mean? What? The government got away. What you talking about? They're gonna start garnishing your check. You go to work and work for hours, get the check, and $5.84. All the rest of it is for your garnishment, what they call your garnishment. That means stuff that you owed and then gonna pay. See, that's the government for you. And I'm looking at it like this. Why can't the government forgive all the loans? After all, if you can send millions, trillions, billions of dollars overseas to all these other different countries every year since I've been living, why come you can't forgive the loan? How come you can't forget a loan?
That's the biggest argument to me for loan.
If you hadn't sent all that money over there, you wouldn't even have to worry about no loan. Because the people would instead of sending all that money over there, you pay people a decent wage to keep up with everything. People wouldn't mind paying the loan off because they'd have the money to do it. They'd have the trillion, billion, zillion. You probably done spent $1 zillion. What's the highest you can go? That's probably, look at all the money. Look at it like this. You start from 1950 and just work your way all the way up to now. That's almost 75 years. Add up all the money we done sent overseas, other countries for 75 years. And you talking about we owe 35 trillion. That's your 35 trillion right there. That's your 35 trillion right there. But you can't forgive these few little billions, even if it's like $1 trillion. You done spent 35 trillion over in other countries.
Exactly.
Take care of your own kind. Take care of America.
That's the biggest argument, and they try to use all these labels. They like to use this. As soon as you start saying socialism, you basically tell everyone in America, you get everyone in America to be like, okay, we can't do it now. It's socialism. But I ask people in the audience, based on all the money, like you said, if you take the last 75 years or even more than that, all the money that we've given outside of the country, how much we pumped out. It ain't
just outside the country. Look at all the money we done spent on $30,000 for a hammer.
Oh yeah, that too.
All that kind of old dumb mess that been went on for years and years and years that the government knew was happening. Look at all the fraud, all the add up all that money.
All these politicians taking day trips wherever they want to take them on our dime. But yeah, this is the biggest argument for. There's no reason why we shouldn't have. Everyone should have health coverage and education coverage and stuff. Like, to me, what's the point? Like, what's the point of the government if you're not going to give the people the basic needs? Like, what's the point of even having the government?
The government is the government might have started out with a humanitarian vibe, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long. It didn't last long because with money comes power and desire and greediness, and we can't take care of America because we worried about too much other stuff that's not America. That's what the main problem is. We got to have a base in Japan, Korea, Germany, just about any country. That's not come America can't take care of America because we got too many other interests. We got too many other interests, and from fruits and vegetables to pharmaceuticals, we got it all covered.
Gosh, man,
we got drugs. We got drugs coming in here. Who you think bring them in here? The government.
The government, yeah.
The government, man. You're talking about they over there in Afghanistan looking for Bin Laden. No, they weren't. They looking for them damn poppy fields. Where 70% of your heroin and all that opioids come from. Afghanistan, little old rocky Afghanistan, them are rocks. That's where 70% of that's why we over there. We over there trying to cut deals.
Hey, drugs. And something that we haven't even talked about yet, but it's definitely it's linked to the government. I'll always believe, because I read that letter, like Ben Rum wrote a letter, because I was talking to S.L. Kempton again on another episode, I believe it's episode 77, the significance of October the 7th and how many different events happened on that day, just historically and symbolically. And Ben Sedigafor pointed out how there were 2 major earthquakes on October the 7th, just like if you want to go talk about the cosmos and stuff. But bin Laden wrote a letter on October the 7th. I believe it was in 2001. It was directed towards the United States. And all this symbolism, that's what I'm saying about these dates, not just being coincidental, that there's something to it. I always believe that people like that have ties to intelligence. The intelligence agencies have a lot to do with this stuff too, but you would never know, you'll never be able to track it and prove, because they know, they have all the inside information.
You're right about that. They know when stuff gonna happen. Somebody do. Ain't nothing just happening out the blue. Somebody knows. Somebody knows that it's gonna happen, but for their own motives and own reasons, they can't. They ain't gonna tell nobody because they got their own motives. They got their own reason for doing things.
That's why the October 7th stuff, and I don't mean to keep going back to that, but I just want my audience to kind of think for a second. If you know anything about Israel, Israel has 3 wings of intelligence, central intelligence. It's basically like the equivalence of our CIA here, the Central Intelligence Agency. They have Mossad, and then they have 2 other agencies that take out they have different sort of functions or whatever. But the point I'm making, that the Shebet, I think is what it's called. Like I read a book about it, but it broke down just like the intricacy of the Israeli intelligence. You mean to tell me one of arguably the most powerful group of intelligence agencies in the world couldn't detect some motherfuckers going over a fence?
Well,
That's what, and even Ben, who has lived in Israel, he admitted, how is it that these people with all the detections and stuff, basically like the DMZ in North Korea and South Korea, if a fucking rat goes next to it, it gets electrocuted. You mean to tell me you didn't know that these people, that was motion sensors or anything?
well, see, this is the way I look at that. They knew when you fighting little skirmishes and you fighting them all the time, and it ain't really nothing really, really big. It's just, skirmishes. We and kill 3 of y'all. Y'all shoot down here and kill 100. Little skirmishes happen like that all year in and year out, year in and year out. It ain't surprised that something like that. To me, it's going. To me, that kind of stuff is gonna happen as long as them countries exist. It's gonna happen. It's just the way it's always been like that, and ain't nobody trying to come up with no solution.
No one is.
Every time you try to come up with something, whoever come up with it get killed off.
Mm-hmm.
I think the closer to me, the closer they ever come to peace, there'll never be peace. Just peace. The closer they ever come when they had what they call the Middle East Accord, when
The
Sadat,
Accords?
yeah, Sadat them, they tried to work something out. Anwar Sadat, when he was president of Egypt.
Oh, that was even before Rabin and Arafat.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm talking about. It was about during that time. You see what I'm saying? You can't work out nothing that's been going on for centuries. That's what I say. That you've been going on for as long as that's been going. You just can't work nothing out. Because why? As long as you got one side wanting the other side diminished to the point of just kill everybody, then that's gonna be that conflict will never be solved unless you kill everybody. And plus, it's a lot of people that don't want to solve it.
They don't want what?
They don't want to solve it. They don't want to solve it. They want to keep it going. Because they just their belief, man. They want to keep it's people that it's Palestinians that want everybody in Israel dead. Because that's what the thought is. And it's probably Israel, they thinking the same thing.
Yeah, man, it's real sad, man.
It's really all a big land grab. See, ain't nobody been satisfied, since 1967. Them 6 countries, they try to gang up on Israel, and Israel beat them in, a week. Ever since that, see, when they done that, that was a big land grab. That expanded Israel territory. That was a big land grab, what that war was about. See, after the war, they didn't want to get the land back. You're supposed to get the land back. After we dropped the bomb on Japan, we didn't go over there and take no land. We went over there and made deals.
Yeah. But see, the crazy thing about that, even if you go to 48 or whatever, do you think that is, I think that when I talk to people, that seems to be a point of contention. That's a big point of contention when Israel was basically kind of carved in by the Brits and all these other countries when they created it, in 47.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That almost seems like a conversation that's hard to even get through, because that seems to be where even if there was conflict or disagreement before, that seemed to be the point where it was almost like that. We can't compromise this thought process. You have whole generations like we'll never let that go on either side.
No, because well, see, if you believe biblically, it's in the Bible that once Israel becomes a nation,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna be tough to deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
that's in the Bible. That's biblical. Now they became a nation in 48, what 48? And
Mm-hmm.
see, they're gonna be hard to deal with. Prophecy was fulfilled if you know like biblically. And
Mm-hmm.
and I still I still I still think they fighting over stuff that happened a long time ago before any of us even thought about being born.
I
That's what I think.
I think at one point it started like that, but I think it's what you're saying, what the crux of this conversation has been about. I think now it's pretty much all monetary incentive because there's talks of there's pipelines running through these areas that
Yeah, I know.
we aren't or that aren't even really been discovered yet. There's definitely something else there, for sure. It's definitely a land grab, that's for damn sure. That's inevitable. Like you can't even debate that it's a land grab.
And then too, they fighting over what they think is holy ground. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Uh, you got to go. If you look at a old map, say you went back and looked at a map around 1200, 1300. If you look at the land map, you look at the map, the map got a whole lot. If you look at if you look at the map then and look at them now, it'll tell you a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost look and say, "Oh, I see, I see a little bit clear. I see why so and so is doing this or why they doing that." You can see, you can distinguish a little bit better. But
Mm-hmm.
I say this: there will never be peace in the Middle East because you got too many different factions and everybody is fighting for a different reason. Everybody got their different reason for the conflict. Every this this reason is different from that reason, is different from that. Everybody got different reasons for the conflict, you know, for so eh, that that would never be peace. You would never be able to sit down one day and say, "Don't you know this is the first day worldwide where it wasn't nobody fighting?" You'll never, in your lifetime, you'll never be able to sit down and say, "They just said it. They ain't fighting nowhere in the world." It'll never happen.
Because there's no money in peace.
It'll never happen. Now ain't no money, no peace.
That's the reason why.
It's money in the wall.
That's
But
so
I don't.
sad, but that's
But you know something.
but
It's
that's
sad. But you know something. I don't really think nobody really want peace.
mm,
I really don't. I
I
think
agree with that
everybody
to a
want.
certain extent.
They don't want peace. They want their way. It's a difference between your way and peace.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, everybody wants their way. It'll never be peace. Don't nobody want peace. Everybody want their way. So
We
it,
I want to ask you if there was anything that else that you want to explore because we kind of been all over the place. We've touched on some
yeah, I
important
know we
topics,
have.
I think. Um, and I really didn't expect you to start out kind of jumping ahead, but that's good. I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way because it just shows that the conversation is more organic.
Well, I don't want to talk about my childhood forever
I know
because
what you mean.
I don't. But and the reason why is because I don't have no good stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. When I tell you, I'm gonna tell you the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you might hear a feel good story, but mostly it's been more pain than it have been happiness, good
Mm-hmm.
stories. And that's I don't want to talk about pain all the time because people say, He don't do nothing but complain. No, I don't complain. Like I said, the truth don't need an alibi. I tell you how it is, tell you the truth. But see, we done got to the point now where you can't even tell the truth no more.
Yeah.
You can't even tell the truth no more, man. I never thought I'd live to see that day where you can't tell the truth no more. And the happy thing is you can tell a lie, and after a certain amount of time, that lie becomes the truth. So people will align to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You said it enough times, it becomes the truth.
Yeah. That's totally. I mean, and that's
You know?
definitely a part of and that's definitely a part of the process that goes through people now. Because honestly, the way I look at it is that people are pretty much led astray. Um, and it comes down to simply when you lose the ability to think for yourself, and this goes back to it's honestly it's a modern version of slavery, is what it is. Because if once somebody takes your mind away from you, I mean, what are you at that point?
Yeah, that's what I know.
Once your mind is taken away from you, that's it.
Once you are programmed, that's what they basically doing. They are programming you for one side or the other. You got to see everything coming down to a pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do it the right way? You can't do it the right way. You got to do it our way. Our way is the right way. What they say.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, America. I'm talking about, man. We just too brainwashed and too easily manipulated. Uh, we have been we done been reduced uh from trying to help to find a solution to tricked into being the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we ain't trying to find a solution no more. We try to find a, we try to find we try to find the problem. Even though we know what the problem is, but see, that's what keeps everything clicking just right for the ones in control.
I want to bring this up, and this is the reason why on this one we bring this up so much. We've talked about it some. I honestly didn't expect you to. I knew that you would talk about it, but I think the way you explained the military industrial complex was good without even saying that word. That's a word that's used a lot now.
What see,
There's
I,
no.
I ain't got to say that. I don't want to say that because when you say military complex, you really talking about the government. They see everything's government to me. You can put your little fancy label on it, but who's in control of it at the end of the day? Who's running? The government.
Yeah.
The government. And it's all by design.
CIA, the FBI, all this
It's
stuff.
all by design.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only way. If everybody really had the free thought and we ain't really got the guts to have free thoughts because our minds are so pulled this way and that way. We're at the point where our choices have been reduced to either this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we had plenty of choices.
When is this?
Huh?
When do you say when is? What are you talking about? What are you talking about when you say we have plenty of choices?
What we had plenty of choices. I'm talking about we had, put it this way. There was once a time where humanity had the upper edge. It was once a time where humanity had the upper edge, had the upper hand. Humanity does not have the upper hand now. That's changed a long time ago. Humanity does not have the upper hand. It's whoever controls has the upper hand. And the ones that had the upper hand, really, let's tell you blunt and plain. The elites are the ones that controls everything. Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and Gates and
Soros
and Zuckerberg, the money, the communication, the 6 entities that run everything, that runs your communications, the entity that runs all the radio and television and movies and all that kind of deal, television, all that, that's one entity. The entity that runs your education, what's being taught, what's this, that, and the other. They're the one in control. Huh?
Your food supply, the banking, and
your food supply, your banks.
Really, the pharmaceuticals you can add in with food. I mean, basically, it's still health related.
Yeah, well, it's 6. I put the pharmaceutical in the drug department.
Drug department, yeah.
They probably the one who's flying all the dope over here. I hate to say it, but somebody, all of it ain't coming in over here. You can't slip that much in over here to feed the whole country without getting caught. You can't, that's got to be some kind of government ties. Got to be government ties.
Hey, I got a question for you since you've been talking about the government. You mentioned aliens earlier, and it sounded like based on what you were saying, you believe in aliens.
I believe in aliens. Put it this way. Everybody should believe in them because everybody should believe in because what is it that they don't want us to know? They're trying too hard for us not to know something. They're trying too hard to get into space. For what? What you gonna do? Ain't no air out there to breathe or nothing. What you gonna do? What it is they done found some kind of spacecraft. If you don't think they done found nothing, then I can't help.
Hey, I got a question. Hey, and exploring that more, and you froze a little bit. You're okay, you unfroze. Okay, I agree with you. I believe that there's definitely aliens. I agree with that.
It's something because they don't want us to know about it.
My question, I guess, for you is this. I was thinking about you know how drones are so big now? Like everyone has a drone now.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
Do you think that UFOs are basically governmental drones? Or do you think that they actually
I believe that see, man wants to be the dominant of the whole universe. I believe that it's something I believe something we don't really we know about it, but we don't understand. And when we got evidence that of something, but see, they don't want the public to know about it because they want to try to get the upper hand so they can control it. You know what I mean?
Do you believe that we actually went to the moon? And if so, why come we haven't gone back?
Oh, that is a good question. And I'm going to give you the answer what I think. I look at it like this. Yeah, I believe we done been to the moon, and much damn money we done spent on ships and rockets, and they show you Cape Canaveral and them shit going up and blowing up and doing this and that up. Yeah, yeah. They done spent too much money not to go. You know, that's that $30,000 for a hamper, you know. Yeah, yeah. They done spend too much money not to go. And they're building a space station out there in space, Russia and us and Russia and somebody else. Yeah, yeah. They know something. Somebody done seen something. Something. They wouldn't be doing that. Just be doing that. If you can't breathe out in outer space, what the hell you gonna build a space thing? What you doing that for? You doing that so you can observe something you done already seen. You're doing that for that reason. You going back to the moon for some other arterial motive. You ain't going back just to pick up those damn rocks.
For the sake of science.
Ah, shit. How much money science gonna spend? Trillions and trillions. You could have paid off the debt.
And there's also which goes to and science now, and that's the scary part. Everything has become monetized. Science is an industry. As with the dollar,
it's always been an industry. It's always been an industry, a high dollar industry. You'd be surprised how much money they done spent since what they started in 63 when Kennedy said we're gonna try to land somebody. All right. Add up the money from there to now in just the space program stuff alone. We could have been that is $33 trillion right there.
Oh, okay. You still didn't. I want to know more so if you believe we went to the moon, why haven't we gone back? That's the bigger question I have, because I'm still trying to think with the technology that we have now compared to back then in the 60s, because it's still like the same stuff now. You mentioned it between China, Russia, the United States. It seems like those three entities are always a part of the equation. When you talk about getting there first or doing something first, there's always a competition between those three superpowers.
Yeah.
And why haven't we gone back to the moon? Because apparently we went there right after the whole Sputnik thing in 57.
I know.
Kennedy basically prepared us and said, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then magically we went. And I'm still on the fence about it. I don't think we went to the moon. That's just me.
We went somewhere. They went somewhere.
Yeah,
we put it this way. They went somewhere. They just building stuff and just sending it up just for the hell of it.
But why haven't we been back?
They are not doing all of that for nothing.
Why haven't we been back to the moon, with the walk on the moon and all that stuff? Why do you think that is?
Because I look at it like this. You got to look at it like this. If you done something and you ain't got nothing else to prove no more, and the only reason they're going back now, I think they're going back now. This is just a way of this is a way of tricking us out of more money. This is another way to say, well, we try to make it to the moon, but you're taking that money and doing something else with it on the guise of going to the moon. And I look at it like this. If they landed somebody on the moon in 68, we should have been back to the moon with the technology and stuff we got now. We should have been back 20, 30 years ago.
That's why I'm skeptical about it.
We should have been back 30 years ago.
But that's why I'm so skeptical about it.
Huh?
That's why that's the skepticism part of me that what doesn't make sense to me. But because it made it seem so easy way back then.
It wasn't easy, but they didn't tell you how much it cost either. Because if they'd have told you that from the bat, everybody in America would have said, no, man, get the moon. You can't, put it this way. It's all right to explore and do all that. You can do all that manless, unmanned. You know what I mean? Just like you shoot that thing to Mars, unmanned thing to Mars. But it costs money. But I just think it's a big money. I just think it's a money grab, man. It's a money thing. They're doing something else. They're doing something else.
Just with the exploration that we've been talking about, just the Clinton Institute publishes things on military statistics every year. This is just a note to the audience. We've said this about 3 different times on different episodes, but I think this is a really important point to consider. The United States spends more on its military than the next 10 countries combined, and this includes China. This tells you how much money we spend on the wars. And so, to me, going back to the original point about the manufacturing laws, I guess the war machine is a manufacturer that replaced what we had.
That's right. That's where all the money that replaces your manufacturer.
We're making missiles and stuff instead of car parts.
But see, that ties back to the government, though. That ties back to the government. And I just think it's not gonna never change, because the people that are running the government are the people who are placed there to make sure it don't change. They're not gonna put nobody in there to run things, right? They're gonna put somebody in there to cover up and hide. That's the name of the game. Cover up and hide, cover up and hide. Somebody ain't no UFOs, it ain't no it is.
And honestly, I believe that's why going back to episode 3, even a lot of the stuff we're talking about, we talked to Ben Setagat. Ben is coming back on this Friday to probably discuss similar stuff. But Ben was basically saying in the episode 3, he was naming off a bunch of people. It's crazy. These people have died since that episode. And this was just last year. He mentioned Queen Elizabeth, Henry Kissinger. He named like 20 motherfucking people. And it's basically, if you think about just like certain figureheads, you could probably put them all in 2 rooms. And those 2 rooms full of people, the amount of influence that they have.
And that's what if you could pick their brain for 5 minutes apiece, you will have more knowledge than 1,000 encyclopedia books.
That's crazy, man.
But that's true though.
And
I don't know what Queen Elizabeth is doing, but I heard that they were making $325 million a day on just an interest on the money that they got tied up in the work. And that's what I heard. I heard who said that? I heard one comedian said that, and he wasn't cracking no joke either.
No, it wasn't meant to be a joke.
No, it wasn't meant to be no joke. Yeah, they said Queen Elizabeth was making. I think Paul Mooney said he said she was making $325 million a day. You know how much money that is, man, in a year, in a decade, in a century.
But people don't think about this stuff and all the stolen riches from they were talking about how just like all the jewelry they have just in between the Vatican, between
don't say nothing about the Vatican.
But I'm just saying, but you know what I mean?
They own the Vatican is their own country. They basically their own country.
It is, yeah. It's its
supposed
own
to be a church, don't it?
It's like its own city state. I've been there. It's crazy. It's no bigger than our neighborhood. It's small than our neighborhood.
but it's powerful. You know how much money, see, you know what the Catholic Church bring in a week? Boy, you'd be surprised, man. I think it's more Catholics than anybody religious, man.
I know within Christianity,
Yeah,
I know,
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go to Latin America, everyone's Catholic.
You know how much money you talking about, man? Bringing in a year.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in that kind of money a year, you can do all kind of things. And you can sweep scandals under the rug, keep them here for years and years and years, pay off folks. Uh, you can put it where you can control a lot.
That goes back to your
They are
point.
the only they are the only religious institution that can add and subtract something out of the Holy Bible. They're the only one can do it. They the only one can do it. Can anybody else add no book or take no book out? They the only one can do it. They the only one that have done it.
Man.
I seen a old Bible, 18 something.
Mm-hmm.
No, 1803 or something. The books that was in that Bible, they done took out, I don't know, they done took out at least 7, 8 books that's in that Bible out.
The Apocrypha.
All of what you want. I
Like the
look at it
book of
like this.
Enoch and all those other books.
If it's in that book and it's called the Holy Bible, what you take it out for?
Mm-hmm.
What you take it out for?
Mm-hmm.
It says in there, don't add or subtract, don't add or take nothing out. What you take it out for? And sometimes about, well, this, that, no. If it was put in there by holy men of God, then what happened? They went sour. That's what happened. They went sour. You had to take it out. They poured on you. I just don't know, man. I just don't know.
Man,
I'm like everybody else. I'm so confused.
hey, I want to get your opinion on one thing since we've kind of gone everywhere. And I really didn't expect the conversation to go this far, man, but I like it. You know I like this kind of stuff. But I know you followed a little bit about the Jeffrey Epstein, the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. I've never heard it from you. I know I've heard other people, but I want to know what kind of insight you might have as far as what you think this whole thing, what to make of any of it.
I think it's all. This is my opinion. I think that it's all within the script of of uh of the entertainment industry. I think it's all in the script of it's all in the script of put it this way, if the truth ever came out, it's all like something that was sponsored by the entertainment industry.
Mm.
You can put it this way, you can say that it was sponsored, it's something that was sponsored by the 6 entities that controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is he made a mistake some kind of way, and just a little bit of it come out, and that little bit snowballed into something big.
Mm-hmm.
You think somebody killed that man, man? Man, he just walk out his cell and trip over a banana and kill himself. That's a hit. Don't you know a hit when you see one? They had to kill him because somebody that don't want to go to jail, spend the rest of their life in jail, a real jail. If he'd have told what he knows, he'd messed up a whole lot of powerful people. He messed up a lot of powerful people, and he had to be dealt with. He didn't hang himself or kill himself. Somebody that's a hit, nothing but a hit.
But see, everything that I watched with him,
And this other woman, she ain't gonna do no whole lot of talking
Maxwell, yeah.
because she don't want to die, and she know that. If she told what she want, who all was at the parties, and what you basically got to is, in my opinion, you got what you call a sex code, a sex code that in and a sex code that was so powerful and so well organized and financed that it covers all your sexual deviances. It covers your pedophiles, it covers your rapists, it covers the whole, it covers your lesbian, it covers your whole complex thing of a sex code. It's basically what it is. And it's always been one. It's always been one, ever since you can think of it. And it's always been well hidden. Always been well hidden. And Hollywood got a whole lot to do with it.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Got a whole lot to do with it. Rituals and all that kind of different old, it got a whole lot to do with it. But you can't hardly beat Hollywood. Hollywood got, look at the money and the companies that's involved. All your news organizations, all your religious programs that come on, everything is tied into the same. It's tied in, man. It's a mess, man. It's a mess. It'll come to light one day. We'll probably be dead before it happens, but it'll come to light one day. Somebody know the real truth. You can only keep things here for so long. You can't keep something here forever. So sooner or later, it's just gonna have to come to light.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I just I think we're going to end here because we're about 3 hours in, and this is kind of where I wanted the max to be. But I just want to say, Dad, I really appreciate you coming to sit down and talk with us for 3 hours today on this special episode 100. I hope this episode grows a lot. I really hope people are willing to have these types of conversations with people in their families. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but I can say one thing about my parents. I may not agree with them 100% on things. I may not agree with them 70% on things, but I can say that they gave me kind of the free reign to think for myself. And I think that that's kind of the best thing you can really give to a kid is give them the ability to have that open mind and think for themselves and not tell them what to think, but just kind of give them the tools to survive. But then, once they free away, they can do what they want. You make your own mistakes on your own, and I think that that's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, and I know I can't appreciate them anymore. All the stuff that they've given me, not just financially, but just giving me the, the the ownership of my body, my mind, and everything else to kind of make my own decisions for myself. And I think that's the best thing you can really give to a kid, especially because it is a complicated world. But like Dad says, I think over time you kind of figure it out. After a while, he said himself it took him years to figure things out that may have been easier to figure out. Maybe it seems like it's easy to figure out, but then things happen along the way, and it takes everyone at their own pace, different times to kind of get to different conclusions. And so I think everyone that's out there listening needs to take time every day to reflect, even if it's just 10 minutes to read a book. If you like to pray, that's something that you can do. If you like to meditate, if you like to think about something that's non-entertainment, think about something that's where you're trying to learn something about yourself or somebody else. I think just 10 minutes of your day, exercise or anything, could go a long way to going, in a positive direction. And that's what I would say to my audience or whatever. Just try to have a mind of your own, and don't indoctrinate your kids. If you're going to watch something, watch everything. Don't limit yourself to one TV station or whatever. Don't limit yourself to one news channel, one radio station. Open yourself up to everything. Don't read just one book, read 1,000 books. That's what I would say. And that's kind of what I got from my parents growing up. And that's the message I took when it came to not just the everyday things like right from wrong. We knew right from wrong. I'm talking more so philosophically with your kids. Give your kids those tools to where they can think for themselves, and don't tell them no, no, no. Let them question themselves and let them question everything else. But I just wanted to give you a last word or two to express any thoughts that you may have from our audience. And again, we appreciate you coming on to the show.
What I want to say, it's been a pleasure coming on the show, and my advice to someone want to get ahead financially is keep that dime, save that dime out of the dollar. Just save something for yourself, because you can't take nothing with you. And if you don't spend it, the government gonna take it. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. That's way it's the way it goes. Try to live life the best you can, the right way, and take time to think for yourself. To don't always go along with something because it sounds good. And my last advice is try to uncover the truth. For the truth don't need an alibi, and even a genius asks questions. And that's what I got to say.
I knew you were going to leave with that. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, but you're not
I
gonna say
definitely knew you were going to say Virginia because you lost some damn Tupac Shakur, man. I knew you were going to say that.
What?
I knew Tupac was going to have to be involved in some way, shape,
No,
or form.
that's the truth, though. Even a genius asks a question, but then too you get to thinking. I thought a genius knew everything.
Mm-mm.
Even a genius asks a question. Don't nobody know it all. You can always learn something.
Absolutely.
Don't nobody know it all. You can always learn something. Uh, like try to keep a free mind, and as long as you got this thought in your mind, you'll never lose. You'll never lose, because if you know that you already been counted out as as lost, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose if you already been counted out as lost? You ain't got nothing to lose. It's just you against the world.
Yeah, man. I mean, no, you're right. I mean, it's consistent what you're saying. Definitely. And I know you've always had a big you've always used Tupac as like this inspirational figure. And I always wonder if what do you think Tupac, and I'm lying, I thought I was gonna get off the show, but I had to, since you brought that up in a way, I was thinking, what would Tupac think, and where would he be, I guess, at this point in his life, just hypothetically, if he was still around.
I don't think he would. I don't think, deep in my mind and what I know, if he would not have lived long, because he would have educated people too much, and we don't want everybody educated. We want everybody dumbed down. That way we can control. If everybody really knew the truth, and I keep saying that, and people be looking around, what are you talking about the truth? You don't even know the truth yourself. If everybody really, really knew the truth of what was really going down, they'd have a different mindset on how they would think, and they'd have a better possibility of trying to find a solution. There is an answer to every problem, but it's hard to find the answers when everybody is not searching for the truth, but just giving you different bad ideas and thoughts so you won't find the truth. That's what the world has been boiled down to. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to keep you the dumber down that you is, the better and easier you are to control. And as long as they can instill in your mind that money is the only thing, they got you. Because I look at life like I just be imagining myself. I be saying sometimes I be saying, what if they took all the money away? What would people do? What would people do if they took all the money away? You got to be able to. It all come down to survival. It ain't how much money you got. It's survival. Survival. You surviving, your family surviving. It's been people that been poor a whole lot longer than they've been up. And I tell you, to keep your head up, and always search for the truth. Always search for the truth, because once you got the real truth in your heart, can't nothing stop. Can't nothing stop you when you got the truth.
Well, Dad, I like those concluding words. We just want to say, we love you, I love you, and beautiful people. We have a great. We're going to continue just with all the guests coming in, just with all the insight. Some personal relationships with me. Some people I mean for the first time, but and you never know who you're going to get on this show. You may have people that have very high profiles, people with lower profiles, but I think every episode you will learn something if you tune into Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a little bit of your time to expand your mind. And remember, you can't unthink free thought. Consider subscribing to us for free on YouTube. Supporting independent media. You're not going to get these thoughts on your favorite television show or from the words of your favorite politician. So we would like to think that we're a unique forum just between my personal training, and I like to interview different types of people. And that's been a challenge. I've tried to get all types of people to come onto the show. I've had people dodging me that are bigger, higher profile, the people who know who I am. And that's okay. We try to get people, anybody that's willing to come on, we appreciate those people who have come onto the show. And we're going to continue to get higher and lower profile people onto the show, because we need different types of voices, not just people that reflect my personal views. I've tried to get conservative minded people onto the show. That's been a challenge. People are reluctant because regardless of you being conservative, liberal, left, right, up, down, diagonal, across, or whatever, people know that when they come onto the show, it's going to be a genuine conversation. And I don't know if some people are willing to have that genuine conversation. That's kind of where I'm at with that. But if people are willing to come onto the show and have genuine conversations, we're not going to judge you, and we're going to come in with an open mind, and we're not going to assume that you think a certain way. And so that's what I'm going to leave with. And beautiful people, enjoy the rest of your day. International community, people stateside. We'll talk to you soon with our next guest on Friday with Ben Said the Gap for. Have a nice day. Cheers.